AJ was, and Ruiz was doing the same. I don't know if you saw the videos. They were letting some really good combinations go, so I thought I'd post them.
For the record, I opposed to him making those posts because, I don't want him, trying to, well, he wants to, if he sees something good, he likes it, but I was just like, don't do it, You're going to build these guys' confidence up even more.
Yeah, exactly, but I'm one of them people, if I see something good, I just want to promote it or say something good about it. I don't, just even other rivals or whatever, or future opponents, I don't need to just slag them off all the time.
Yeah, Tyson, but these are guys that you're going to be,
fighting,
yeah. And you're helping them out.
I think just some fight.
That's the difference though, isn't it? That's what makes me unique.
After Dillian defeat, I think everyone was probably expecting your response to be different to what it was.
Yeah, exactly, but why? What did they want me to do? Laugh at the guy because he got beat? I want them all to win because it just makes bigger fights for me and better fights for me. They're all Povetkin got to be victorious because I think the Dillian Whyte fight would be a much bigger fight for me than Povetkin because people know that I can beat Povetkin with one hand tied behind my back, but people were half convinced that Dillian Whyte could give me a run for my money, so that was why I was rooting for Dillian Whyte. And when I saw him got beat, poor old fella, really. It's boxing, it's heavyweight boxing, it can happen to anybody, happen.
Those are the words again from Javon Sugar Hill and Tyson the Gypsy King Fury, as you've seen that both people, okay, and I'm glad that both people had a disagreement on camera. Tyson Fury, of course, he praised, he gave good credit to Anthony Joshua, Andy Ruiz, Deontay Wilder, and he did that as a form of encouragement for those fighters. And Javon Hill, he stepped in and like, hey, for the record, I oppose that. These are going to be his fighters, so you don't want to give them too much confidence, so you shouldn't do that. I would be against it. But then Tyson Fury, like, that's what makes me unique. And in other words, this is what I do. I do what I feel like I'm going to do or want to do. Javon Hill is the trainer. That doesn't mean he's his father. Okay. And for the record, like Coogan asked, shouts out to IFL TV. He asked that, hey, you didn't think people would thought that was you being sarcastic? It was like, no, not at all. I give credit where credit's due. And moving on to Dillian Whyte, okay. Dillian Whyte, he was like, no, people thought that I was going to talk shit about Dillian Whyte. I was going to talk trash or boast or be happy. No, he wasn't, okay? He wasn't going to be that way because, as he stated, like, that's what happens. Dillian Whyte would have been a good fight eventually because that was the fight that was going to be, that was going to happen eventually if Dillian Whyte kept winning. Okay, it had to be. Mauricio Sulaiman can't lie forever. Can he? Counterpunch. But, but for everybody else, the more they keep winning, the more those fights will be. And I do agree with them with this. It would be a better fight with Dillian Whyte versus Tyson Fury. More marketable, more sellable than Tyson Fury Povetkin. Povetkin's old, and that might be one of the fights, one of the last few good fights and performances he has left. So Tyson Fury fighting Povetkin, no, it would kind of be counterproductive because he goes in there and jabs him, outbeats him, and outworks him, and all this, that, and the other. And I don't think it would do as well as Dillian Whyte because, of course, a lot of people, the backstory between Dillian Whyte and Tyson Fury has been in a situation where, those guys have had run-ins. Those guys have talked trash about each other. Those guys, had words. They had sparring wars together. So it's a huge and bigger and better backstory for Dillian Whyte to fight Tyson Fury, okay, than Povetkin to fight Tyson Fury. Okay, so I do understand why Tyson Fury's like that. And if you remember, he didn't have the same spirit as Andy Ruiz, did he? Okay, now we're gonna tap into that a few because how was Andy Ruiz responding? Happy. And I'll say this about any other fighter. If you got fighters that, duck this fighter or couldn't make this fight or negotiation went this way, this way or that way, and it didn't, that person's lying, this, that, and the other. But then when that person that you supposed to fought, you claimed you wanted to fight so badly, when that person loses, what happens? You are happy about it? I am convinced at this point that you, as that fighter, did not want that fight originally. You didn't want it. You're happy someone else fought and beat the guy that you should have fought. That you, at this point, I'm convinced, weren't convinced that you could beat. Counterpunch. Okay? That's what I feel about that. Now, bringing him up, hate to bring him up, but it just shows you the comparison between how Tyson Fury's reaction was versus Andy Ruiz. Andy Ruiz was happy. He was happy as hell. Okay? He was too happy for a fighter that he could have fought and could have done the same thing that Povetkin done. Right? Anyway, but Dillian Whyte, that was going to be a promising fight. Hopefully he can get his bearings back if he beats Povetkin. We'll see at that point. You guys tell me what you think about Tyson Fury's comments and his little dispute or spat or disagreement with Javon Sugar Hill on camera. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.